They took me in there real quick. They're like, all right, you're ready to lift weights now. Like, we didn't want to stunt your growth or anything, but you are ready now to lift weights.
Now's the time.
Yeah, now's the time. So my dad walks in there with me. I'm like, this is the most proudest moment. Like, finally, I can like be like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm gonna get big and swole, and it's gonna be amazing. I'll be in action movies and get girls. Okay, so like, what happened after that? We're cruising through the store, and like we get to the weight aisle, and there's all these like iron hex dumbbells, just sitting there. My dad picks up one. He curls it for like a second. It's 15 pounds. Okay, so it's 15 pounds.
What's going on, everybody on YouTube and iTunes? Welcome back to the Raiken Profit Show. This is episode number 36, and we're here with Chris Dupuis, the Bonafide hustler, and we're going to be talking about how to incorporate a healthy lifestyle into building a business. Believe it or not, I get people asking all the time about my weight loss transformation and, Steve, how did you do it? And what tips do you have? So I want to bring on an expert, someone who's helped me along with my journey, and I give a lot of credit to. This is Chris. He has a YouTube channel, The Bonafide Hustler. Also, he has a fitness and health channel, Dupuis. And we're going to be talking about his story, how he got into health and fitness, and how he's able to balance being a full-time entrepreneur with living a healthy lifestyle. So Chris, welcome to the show. How are you?
What's going on, Steve? Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So why don't you share your story with the folks who are watching and listening about your journey when it comes to like health and fitness and how it all incorporates in the business in your life?
So yeah, my name is Chris Dupuis. I'm also known as the Bonafide Hustler on YouTube, and I have a secondary channel called Dupuis, which is the fitness-based channel on YouTube as well. Go check those two things out. But anyways, yeah, so my fitness journey, it's hard to say where it started. I'd like to actually give credit to my parents because I think there's always a catalyst between people that are, let's say, not unfit or people that are somewhat mobile, but then they want to become fit, right? And as a child, my parents definitely instilled in my mind early that it's really important to get outside and keep playing around and get on your bike and do things like that. So I do want to, shout out my parents at that point, because I think when you see a young kid evolving, they always look for direction. And for me, that direction was my parents. My dad would bike around with me. My mom would always be playing with me outside. And I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle. So as you listen to the rest of this broadcast, be thinking, if you have kids, like this is definitely, and I'm going to say this with 100% confidence, the most important thing that you can do for your child outside of true education is to make sure that they are always playing and always having fun outside. So we can fast forward that to, let's say, into my middle school years, I was still outside biking, and I didn't know any differently. Like I didn't know any other life. And this was right around like 1987 when Nintendo came out. There was a point in my fitness, whatever, me being a kid, where things could have gone south. I really do think so. And I think my parents re-steered that back into the direction. And I'll kind of give you an example. So, the Nintendo Entertainment System came out in 1987, and it's the system that everyone knows about, right? The top loading system, the front loading system, blow on the cartridge. It's everything 80s that everybody remembered about video games. But anyways, everybody in school was getting this system, and I was like, I got to have this system. My parents were like, if you get really good grades, you'll get the system. So I'm okay, cool. Like, I worked on it for like 2 months, and I get great grades. They buy the Nintendo, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So what's interesting about that story is it actually leads somewhere. But I played Nintendo all the time after that, right? I played Nintendo for at least a solid 1 month, 2 months, and guess what? My grades went down, and my parents were like, okay, this is not good. Plus, I wasn't outside as much. I was inside of a living room, kind of playing it. And there's just no real physical, benefit to owning video games, right? And playing video games. They're fun. They're entertainment-based at best. But 2 months later, after I got my Nintendo, the grades went down and the Nintendo was yanked forever. It was gone, right? Until I could actually buy my own Nintendo later on in life. So back outside, I was pushed outside in the outside world. And of course, you make believe everything that you want. You do war with your friends, and you get dart guns and BB guns and bikes galore, and you just start living your life outside. And I really do think that decision for my parents was very crucial in building who I am now. When I came into high school, I was about 150 to 160 pounds. It was really thin. My parents really forced me to swim and things like that. due to my asthma that I have. And I still have asthma, but it's not like a really bad case of it. And from there, I remember distinctly one day when I was about 5'11" or something like that, and I was in 10th grade, maybe it was 9th grade, but my parents took me to a sports store, kind of like Oshman's or Academy or Dick's Sporting Goods or something like that. They took me in there real quick. They're like, all right, you're ready to lift weights now. Like, we didn't want to stunt your growth or anything, but you are ready now to lift weights.
Now's the time.
Yeah, now's the time. So my dad walks in there with me. I'm like, this is the most proudest moment. Like, finally I can like be like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I'm going to get big and swole. And it's going to be amazing. I'll be in action movies and get girls. Okay. So like, what happened after that? We're cruising through the store and like we get to the weight aisle and, you know, there's all these like iron hex dumbbells, you know, just sitting there. And my dad picks up one. He curls it for like a second. It's 15 pounds. Okay. So it's 15 pounds. He curls it real quick. And then he goes, all right, you ready? And he's like, and he gave it to me and I was like, yeah. So I got it. And I was like, dude, this is kind of heavy. Cause you can imagine like without any kind of strength training in your life, the second you pick up a 15, it's like, whoa, you know, like this is weight. Better not drop this on my foot, you know? So he's like, all right, you're ready to go. Cool. Let's go check out. I'm like, well, don't I need another one? He's like, no, that's enough for you right now. A 15-pound dumbbell. And that's how it all started, right? It's kind of funny, but I like, who the hell goes into a store and buys one dumbbell? Well, my dad did. And that's how my weight gain or muscle building times kind of started out. So that was back in like 9th grade. I saved up enough money through, I think, Blockbuster Video and a couple other places that I worked when I was young to buy what was next, the 2 dumbbells with the collars that go on and you can put plates and everything. And I took that plus a really long barbell that I got and I spent like $90 on this stuff from Oshman's and I brought it to my room, looked at it. I started, and there was no internet back then or anything. I started getting on books and stuff and like, how do I even bench press? How do I squat? Learned it all on my own in my room, hot summer days in Houston, Texas. My room was probably like 75 degrees. And I knew every day after school, I wanted to work out. And that's what I did, but I didn't own a bench. So get this, this is how I benched back in the day. I actually I put a stool on the back of my bed. Like, so there's a bed, right? Like right here.
Okay.
And then I put the stool here. And then the gap between the bed and the stool was where my arms would go down. And I bounced my head on that stool with some books on it. And the rest of my body was on the actual bed. That was my bench when I first started out. See, this is the thing, is when you want something bad enough, you're willing to do just about anything to get there. And I remember doing that for about 2 years of my life, like sweating it out in that room for an hour a day, building a body. I did have a, like a full-length mirror on my door. And of course, you can imagine as a high schooler, after I was working out, I was just flexing and like, oh man, like I just want a body like, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I just want to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want to be like the people on Baywatch, you know, and that was what I was watching all the time. And so, yeah, the funny thing is I didn't know that all this was leading up to something until senior year, the very last party of the year is a pool party at someone's house. I showed up there and I took off my shirt and every popular girl in the senior year, they were in the pool and I got in and this one super popular girl came up to me and she goes, I never knew you looked like that under the shirt.
Because
I went to a private school. Yeah. I went to a private school with ties and a long sleeve shirt and you can't tell anything. And so, and I think it was 168 or something like that, but I got in the pool, took off my shirt and literally like things stopped, like time stopped. People
no other guy looked like that.
Yeah. Like people looked at me and like, they were just like, I had no idea he looked like that.
Were you jacked or were you like
I was pretty, you know, I was 168 and probably like 9% body fat, which isn't bad. You know, like still looks really athletic
so
and really
like
good.
15 pounds of muscle or something like that, you would guess.
Yeah, just sitting back there in my room for 2 years, like, you know, I was eating, but I didn't know anything about nutrition. I was just eating and eating like whatever my mom would give me. And so, yeah, that's where it all started. And
wait, let me stop you really quick because that's very interesting. So you get in that pool, you take off your shirt. Now, are all these girls starting to like treat you differently? You're starting to feel different, right? It's because that's going to be super motivating.
It was unbelievably motivating. Like it's kind of funny because most people would think that it happened sooner than that. But for me, I guess I was just always a lean guy back in the day. It's just I built the frame of it. The frame started building and everything. And you still couldn't tell under a long sleeve shirt with a tie. I went to a private school. Like you couldn't tell, but like as soon as that long sleeve shirt, for some reason, I was buying shirts that were like XL and XXL because I wanted to appear bigger when I wasn't bigger. So it was so stupid. But anyways, I filled out the XXL or XL shirt marginally, right? But then when the shirt came off, you could really tell what was going on. And I thought that was a really pivotal moment in my fitness career. Was at that point, like that really solidified the fact that I'd worked hard for something and that everyone knew it besides myself. Like I knew it too, but like everyone really knew at that point. And that was very, very important. I could tell you exactly who said, I didn't know what you looked like under that shirt. I could tell you whose house it was. I could tell you the house, where the house is. Like, I remember all these little things because that was such a pivotal moment, you know, in me trying something out, working hard at it, you know, just relentlessly like researching, going to bookstores and like looking at form and all this kind of stuff, and finally going, you know what, this is actually a pretty good reward for doing what I did, you know?
So what was it like, you know, after that pool party? Were you being treated differently? Like when you went back to school, did you notice you had more attention and like these girls were starting to talk to you, and like even guys as well? Because, you know, people want to be around, you know, people who are doing well and have that energy, and like people want to talk to you. Like, was that a game changer? Like even past that day?
Yeah, after that day, it was kind of interesting. But that pool party happened like week before school was out, and mind you, I was a senior, and every senior is supposed to go to college, right? I didn't make the greatest grades in high school, and so I was led into a provisional program, meaning if you could prove yourself, you're into the college. So I went directly, like 7 days later, into, you know, the University of Texas provisional program here in Austin, Texas, and right then and there, I can back up a little bit on the story, but before I left, one of my friends was like, hey, I have a girl friend of mine that's going to the UT provisional program. You're probably not going to meet her, but her name is blank and blank. But trust me, if you are to meet her, he's like, you're never going to forget this girl. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I didn't know anything what she looked like or whatever, but her name was, we'll call her Broccoli. All right. That's her name, because I don't want to say the real name.
Broccoli.
We'll just call her Broccoli.
Like Heather or Sarah.
No, we're going to use Broccoli. That's what we use.
Broccoli. All right,
yeah.
We're going to run
so
the
he was like, look,
if
you were lucky enough to meet Broccoli when you're in the provisional program, which there are 1,000 people in this program a year, and only like 200 make it, because the other 800 party their balls off, and, you know, they don't cut the grades to make it in. And so he was like, look, if you meet this person, like, you're going to be lucky. I'm like, cool, whatever. So like 7 days later, you know, I'm in the UT provisional program. They have like this meet and greet kind of thing at the top level of this dorm. And it's like a volleyball meet and greet with some foods and fajitas. So I'm like, cool, I'll show up there, whatever. And I show up there. And at this point, I had never set foot into a professional gym or anything like that. Like, I still was benching like off a bed and like, you know, just not really doing much, just self-trained myself. But anyway, so I got to the top of that place, and I distinctly remember this, but I got there after working out of my dorm room. I was like, hey, I'll go see this meet and greet, whatever. I go up there, everything's fine and dandy. I'm still wearing like an XXL, like red sand shirt from like the 90s. And I peel the shirt off, and things change all of a sudden again. Like, everything's just started to change. And I'm like, what is going on? But this person comes up, and this is where like things really, I don't know, like, I'll say it as it is, but this is where I really knew that I'd started something really crazy, because a girl came up to me who turned out to be Broccoli, right? A random girl. Turns out to be Broccoli, comes up to me, and literally from my chin, she takes her finger, she goes from my chin down my chest to my abs. She goes, what is your name? And she drags her finger down. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, my name is Broccoli. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I totally know your friend. Like, I was just talking 7 days about you. And so that whole thing kind of evolves through an entire summer, you know.
Did she become your girlfriend, or?
We date on and off and stuff like that, because Broccoli truly had a better friend that I was like really into. But that was really interesting because.
Cabbage?
Yeah, it was cabbage, man. Why not, right? But I thought it was a really interesting moment also because not only was it like the high schoolers that had responded positively to like, holy crap, like, you know, he's pretty built. And I was still, you know, 168 pounds. I hadn't gained my freshman 15, or I'd only been in the cafeteria maybe 7 times in the dorms. And everyone knows that if you are trying to build muscle in college, like, you have to have a dorm card meal plan, you know? So you get as much food as you want, eat as much as you want. And that's why they call it the freshman 15, because you just eat a lot of food when you're a freshman.
Right.
So anyways, but I got to meet a lot of cool people in that provisional program. And those people taught me like the gym, how to bench, like how to do all this cool stuff and secret tricks. And I was hanging around people that were like ex-high school, like football players and all kinds of stuff. So they'd gone through the drills and they taught me all these cool things, and how to squat, how to deadlift, how to bench press, how to bend over row, how to do cable machines and calf raises. And I think that was very important too. But the most important thing was that my decision to start into fitness both made me more attractive to the opposite sex. It actually made me more attractive to the same sex, right? It attracted more people that were like, how did you do that, right? And so I thought that was really, really impressive, because a lot of these people that had taken me under their wing in college in the provisional program were like ex-football stars of their high school, like people that were just in really good shape. And they looked at me, they're like, he's in really good shape too. You can come along and we're going to hang out together and we're going to go to parties together and all that kind of stuff. So that's how that whole thing started. And then from there, I just took it to a whole different level. I studied it even more and more and more and more and more to where I am now. I'm 39 years old now, probably in the best shape of my life, honestly.
You look so much younger than that too, because when you told me you were when we first met and you told me you were like 35 or 36, I'm like, what? Like,
yeah, it's definitely the fountain of youth. There's no other fountain of youth. I mean, anything active or yoga or that's the fountain of youth. Don't ever let people tell you any differently or get into some different skin creams or whatever, like, to make yourself appear younger. Do things that will actually make you younger, and working out is definitely one of those, being able to sweat a whole lot, hit workouts, strength resistance training, the chasing of flow states, like all those things really are anti-aging kind of things that you can be doing right now.
So that's really cool, your story. I didn't know a lot of those things that you had mentioned, especially a lot of your like initial motivations. But there's a lot of people who are probably watching or listening right now, and they're like, you know what? Like, I just don't feel good. Like maybe I'm overweight, I'm tired, lethargic, and I'm just running my business full time. That's all I'm doing. And I just can't seem to find the motivation to get healthy again. Let's start to kind of talk to those people who are spending all their time running their business. They just feel bad all the time. How can they start to get started on the right path and find that motivation?
The most important thing that if you're starting on the right path, you have your own business. Look, things are probably lonely already, right? Being an entrepreneur, like it's tough to find other entrepreneurs in your immediate kind of vicinity wherever you live. So you're going to definitely want to get into a group setting and surround yourself with as many people as possible. So that definitely means a gym. It's for the people that are like, yeah, well, I can just get like a P90X home workout and just be at home. Yeah, problem is you're at home, familiar surroundings, all kinds of distractions, and nobody else to really keep you on your game. And that's really important, that if you want to change something and you have no idea where to start, the best place to go is the place that has it 100% ready to go, a turnkey place such as a gym, right? And at a gym, you have many different decisions to make. You can go into like, hey, I could just go into strength training. I can go into personal training. I can go into group fitness classes. Hell, I could just mess around on the basketball court or in the racquetball court and just see how I like that. Most important part is to actually physically walk into the gym and start that journey there. So, if you were listening to this broadcast, and you're like, where do I start? I'm going to tell you right now with 100% confidence that most of the times you're going to want to be in the gym, unless you can find the person that's built the content that has made, that easy for you to do on your own. But even when I build my content and stuff, it's, workout plans that usually need to be executed in the gym as well. And I have some HIIT programs that I'm working on that can be done at the house, but you definitely want to get into a strength building routine or group class kind of therapy kind of stuff in a gym. Very, very important. You want to be around other people that are even better than you. You really need to surround yourself with people that are on the right track, and try to get around people that are better than you too, because all you're going to do at that point is go, I want to catch up. And that's important, because the catch up is the fun part, right? Once you start catching up, then people start noticing like, hey, you're dropping weight, or you're looking better, or you just appear like you're going through life much easier. Like, what are you doing?
And you've got to find that reason why. What advice would you have for somebody in terms of, everybody knows they want to get healthy and they need to be healthy because people want to live longer. They want to feel better. But how could somebody really search and find that reason why? Because things are going to get tough when you go to the gym. You don't feel like it, or you're tired, or you worked a long day. How could somebody find that real motivational reason when maybe they've never been healthy or they've never been in shape before?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I can say to that is you need to give yourself adequate time to get the first initial results, both in your eyes and in other people's eyes. It's really important because you'll start seeing the transformation. Like if you're in the mirror on a daily level, you're going to start flexing around and, see if your arm flabs around, is a little bit flat, less flabby, and you're going to understand things like that and go, oh, I feel myself changing. My energy's better. But I think it's really important that people get to the stage that's beyond that. It's where another person starts to notice it. Maybe a family member, spouse, husband, whatever, kids, people in your immediate kind of circles in life. They start to go, hey, what are you doing? That's amazing. That's an important part to be in. You have to get to that. So if I can contrast that back to, the previous part of this broadcast, where I didn't know it was for me truly until the pool party, for example, right? That's when I knew that now the public knew what was going on. Like the public had seen it and they go, wow, like he's building something amazing. And it got better since then. Like it only got better and better and better through college, professional life. It just got better and better, and like different forms of myself came out. There was like the biggest form of myself, which was almost as big as The Rock, like Dwayne Johnson. Like I've been as big as that. I've been as, thin as 172 and like, 8% body fat and ridiculous amounts of cardio spitting out of my body. But I found that my favorite place to be is around 185 to 193, shredded in a powerful look. That's just what I like. It's a powerful look with broader shoulders. I like that a lot. But I think people really need to get to that second stage, not just the stage where you understand what you look like, but when someone else or a group of people start to realize you're on the right track. And a lot of people don't give themselves that much time, right? So that's important. I think what else is important too is, kind of lost my train of thought, but it's definitely important to get there. You have to make sure that other people see you on the journey as well. And a lot of times if you go through group fitness classes and stuff like that, you're going to see other people talking about other people like, hey, you look great today, da, 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 and you're going to want that really bad too. And that's the reason why you want to be around groups as well. Fit groups, no matter how you find it, you got to be around it, because the gym is one of the places you can find it. Meetup.com is another place to find great groups in town that are active based. So figure out what you really like. And for the love of, well, I don't want to say God, but for the love of God, like, don't just work out for a picture. A lot of people that I've come in contact with for personal training reasons and this and that, they say like, I want to be 12 pounds lighter by my wedding date for the picture. Like, I want to be 10 pounds lighter for the picture. I'm going to Cozumel, I'm going to Cozumel in March, and it's January, and this is my resolution. I got to look good for the picture and drop 10 pounds. They have no idea what 10 pounds off them would look like. They have no idea the sacrifice to get to 10 pounds. Like, they have no idea. They just want to lose it. They don't care if it's muscle or fat. It just doesn't make a bit of sense to me. So if you do want to lose weight, the most important thing to do is to figure out the why, like Raiken had said, and understand. Try to get a really good why that has substance behind it, not just shallow single goals. Because the thing is, you're going to get to your goal more than likely, sure, but you're going to be doing crash diets and all kinds of stuff because there's no professional approach to it. And a lot of people do crash stuff, and it's just not going to work. None of it works. And in fact, it puts you in a worse predicament after the fact. So you look good for a picture, great. Now you've blown up 20 pounds past your original weight, and it's only 3 months after the picture was taken. So that's not a good thing. And a lot of people get caught up in that.
Yeah, I love the point you made, Chris, about getting around like-minded people, joining a group. Last year I was struggling and I was starting to put on some weight, and I joined a gym, hired a personal trainer, and they offered these classes where they had like 15 to 20 people doing these HIIT workouts. And it was just, it was amazing because people were there supporting you, and you had people correcting your form, because you might think you know how to work out, but a lot of times your form is going to suffer and it leads to injuries. It was definitely an awesome experience. So I would definitely recommend from firsthand experience joining a gym and like getting a part of some type of group. That was big. Let me ask you, Chris, what would you say to people? I know a lot of people listening now, they're just so busy with their business. They spend all their time with their business. And I have friends who, they congratulate me on my weight loss. I've lost over 30 pounds, transformed over the last year. But they say, Steve, like, you're lucky you have the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to work out. I don't have the time to go to the gym. I have kids. I have a family. I go to school, What do you say to somebody who doesn't have the time to get to the gym?
I think in life, people have the time to do whatever they want, so long as they really want it that bad. If you want something really bad, you're going to find the time no matter what it takes to get there. So when people say, I don't have the time for fitness or stuff like that, my first reaction to that will be, well, what are you spending your time on, right? What sorts of things are you spending your time on? You have to start to get a little analytical here. You have to start going, okay, I got X amount of time, which typically for most people is 16 hours in a day, assuming that you sleep 8 hours, right? Because you can't do anything within those 8 hours, but 16 hours a day to take care of all the things that you want in your personal life. So that's love, faith, happiness, money. So within that 16 hours, you have to start going, okay, what am I spending my time on? How much time am I doing just sitting in a car on a smartphone because I don't want to go into work, or I don't want to go to my next thing that I have to do today? How much time are you spending contemplating your next move, right? Because that can smoke up a ton of time during a day, right? If you didn't take the time in a week to figure out what your week's going to look like, you could spend every single day going, what do I have to do next? I got to prioritize it right now. And all that starts taking time. A workout, a really good workout, only takes 45 minutes to an hour. A true intense workout, 45 minutes to an hour. So if you want it that bad, you're going to have to start figuring out where in your life you can start cutting back things, and definitely cut back on the things that aren't giving you, what do they say, Raiken? Like, only find out where 80% of your results come from, and don't worry about getting 100%, right? When it comes to money, figure out how you can get to 80% of that money in the shortest period of time, and then the rest of the 20%, maybe throw it out the window. And the same thing when it comes to kids and all that. If you're not where you are with your kid time, figure out how you can get to that optimal kid time and shorten down something else that isn't working out for you very much. Maybe a lot of times in this space that we work in or we live in right now, cell phones are both an amazing thing and they're also a huge distraction and a huge time suck, right? And a lot of people will actually begin their day, right, looking at a cell phone. They'll end their day looking at a cell phone. And both of those things are pretty much places where you can grab that 45 minutes or an hour. And you'll start to realize that the things that you're giving your time to aren't even lined up with what you want in your life. Does that make sense? There's so many people that do things. They say something else. Well, they say one thing, but they do completely the opposite. It doesn't make a bit of sense. If you're an alien race looking down on these humans and you're like, wow, I wonder how their mind works. And then a majority of them are literally going like this all day long, whether it's in a subway or in a car at a traffic light, you're just sitting there like this. I mean, you got to start looking at that and going, why do these, beings say something, but they act a totally different way?
Talk is cheap. It's easy to talk. That's one thing I've learned, it's really easy to get excited and pumped up and say you're going to do something. But the thing is, if you want to get healthy or if you want to build a business or you want to lose weight, what does it take? It takes work. It takes consistency.
Work. It does. One of those things that I think I'm going to start with, because I want to, what my ideal life would consist of taking that exact formula I've used with fitness and achieving, an amazing body and all that kind of stuff, taking that exact formula and putting it to my business. There's so many opportunities right now. Quite honestly, sometimes I feel lost because there's just so much going on. If you're an entrepreneur right now in the digital world, it's just the opportunities are kind of endless. It is absolutely endless. And so it can get very overwhelming. And sometimes it gets overwhelming for myself. But one of those things that I think one of the simplest things to do that I'm going to probably try out pretty soon is get a little calendar. You go to Office Depot, you go to Office Max, whatever. You get the little bracket calendar looking thing and you put every month and you get a little white thing like this, right? You get a little marker like that, right? You're going to want this marker right here and you're going to want this marker right here. You're going to want the green one, you're going to want the red one, and you're going to want this thing, right? Because every month, you scribble everything out, you put a different month up. So essentially, all you have to ask yourself and truthfully be honest with yourself, take literally 5 minutes of your time at the very end of the day and go, did I move my needle that much more today on the things that I care about? And you can't care about 5 different things. You got to care about 1 or 2 different things, okay? But you got to ask yourself, did I move the needle? And the second you say, yes, I feel great about it, you take the green marker out, you put 1 big check mark on that board, all right? Now, and then you look back at that board, after every single month, if you see a bunch of green, you're getting there, right? If you see nothing but green, you're starting to build an incredible habit. If you start seeing the red marker, right, and you can't be honest with yourself at the end of the day, and that means when it comes down to losing weight or getting fit, you've got to incorporate not only usually caloric restriction, but typically physical exertion as well. 2 things added together increases a better, not a rapid, but a much more stable weight loss kind of goal. And you can do this being full-time in your business, part-time in your business, having no business at all. These are things that you can do whether you are skinny, overweight, whatever, right? Everyone's got different goals. But yeah, you got to be able to look back and take those markers out and ask yourself at the end of the day, did I move my needle forward even a little bit? Because if you are, that's good. That's a big piece of the puzzle already. If you do 3 months of that, you're going to realize oh, I built a habit and maybe your stuff's not intense enough. I want a little bit more intense stuff for the next 3 months. Now your question at the end of the day becomes, did I get more intense, today? Do I feel good about it? Ask yourself, don't lie to yourself. I think people spend a lot of time going, yeah, I researched crypto and it's amazing. And I'm all in. And then they lose their money and what the hell? I don't get it, And the same thing can go. You really have to immerse yourself into that thing and breathe it every single day. Because just saying I want to be fit on Monday is great. And you do 1 week of it, but the next week you're I'm on vacation. So I'm not gonna mess with it, when I come back,
right.
That's what a lot of people I think find themselves.
Yeah, that's why for me, I love to get my workout done first thing in the morning. I wake up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee and essentially get my bag together, my gym bag. I have my clothes ready the night before and I just head out and I do it first thing in the morning because I know if I could check that off, everything else is going to be smooth. And that all comes down to my value as well. I think for anybody who's looking to get on this journey, you've really got to take a deep look at yourself and your values and really understand, for me, like, health is above everything else, even relationships and business and finance and faith, because I can't help anybody else. I can't do anything else. I can't grow my business. I can't be there for my family. I can't, whatever.
Yeah.
Because of that. So once, I don't know, for me, I don't know, do you have the same mindset where you're like, okay, health and everything else is going to be amplified for the better?
No. And here's why. Because I've taken care of my health my entire life. Like that's been the habit of all habits that I've built. And literally
done it thin. I
mean,
it's
literally the hardest habit to achieve for most people. And I'm on cruise control at this point. Right.
But would you agree that if you take care of your health, every other area of your life?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the point.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yes. It could be amplified. It's not even, it could be amplified. It will be amplified. But how you choose to act on that amplification is a totally different thing in itself, because it will definitely allow you to see opportunities more clear. You'll have more energy. You'll be easier to love. You'll be better to play with your kids. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes with being more fit, or being within your BMI range, or being within whatever you want to be. There's there are immense amounts of benefits that come with that. And I wouldn't even say, looking back at it, there's a ton of sacrifice. It's just something that was a habit. It's a habit. I haven't had any workouts where I go 100%, because I just don't. I go at workouts at 85 to 90% of, my whatever I feel that day, right? If I feel exceptionally strong, I might go crazy, but for the most part, just the fact that I'm walking in the gym is so important. And I take that same mentality, that same structure, I apply it to diet, right? If I can get 90% of my meals in line, boom, I'm already successful. That's just part of it right there. And then I'm taking that same exact equation and everything like that, put it towards business. And that's where things get really distracting, because like I said, we talked about earlier, it's incredibly, we live in such an amazing time right now. We really do. With the cell phone and everything that comes with it, like, we live in such an amazing time if you're an entrepreneur and building something, that there are a million ways to go. And that's the part that I struggle with the most right now. It's just, there are a million ways to go. And like, how do I take that same discipline that I've been able to execute flawlessly over many decades and apply it to this? And that's just where I am right now. I think one thing I want to leave people with, and I know we're not at the end yet, but I want to tell people that, what it feels like when you've been lied to, right? Raiken, when someone tells you something is not true, how does that make you feel? And what do you think about that person?
Yeah, it makes me feel bad, and you lose respect.
You lose respect, right? I think a lot of people out there have been lying to themselves. They're like, I'm going to start Monday. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into the fridge and clean it out, and I'm going to keep it that way until I get some of these results that I want. But then they don't, right? But then why don't they sit there and beat themselves up and like hate themselves about it? It's just because that is who you are. You're living with yourself. You don't want to come down on yourself too bad. But that's how it is in real life. Like, in real life, when someone lies to me, crosses me, whatever, I don't want anything to do with that person anymore, right? It's because I know that I've been built on a foundation of truth and, prosperity and substance, right? So I think when I come across those polluting thoughts in my mind, where I'm like, I'm going to start something, this is where I get very, very hard on myself. I go, okay, there's so many things to learn in this world. There's so many things in business to learn in this world. I think on a weekly basis, for me, attacking it on a weekly chunk basis is the best thing for me. Like, on a daily basis, the little green check mark thing is going to help me out. But on a weekly basis, I have to have a certain, amount of things done, like, create an email list, boom, get opt-ins kind of stuff on my page, build the first rounds of workouts. Like, that's how I have to start thinking. But when you are out there and you want to incorporate health into your business, you need to start thinking about blocks or days or things like that as well, and get through some of these initial uncomfortable parts, because they're going to be uncomfortable, Rick. And when the first week that you were going into workouts and group workouts, do you remember how your heart felt? Do you remember all the sweat that poured out of your body?
I literally tasted blood in my lungs. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, and that's just what it is. I mean, you have to keep repeating that. But the thing is, like, that's just a very rare case. It got easier, right? It got easier. And if you were to try now to do those workouts that you did before, they'd be nothing, right?
Right.
They're nothing. So you have to look back, ask yourself in a truthful way, going, are these workouts where I need to be? And then you start getting, strength training in there, power training, whatever you want. But just when you make it to that point where people start to realize, like, wow, you're changing. This is amazing. I wish I could do it too. You need to start always evaluating yourself on a monthly level, weekly level. Is this enough for me to keep myself in the game, right? Because if I today am still doing the workouts that I'm doing when I was in high school or in college, it just wouldn't be enough. Like, it's just not enough. My body has adapted and it needs more, or it just needs variation. I'll correct myself. It doesn't need more, because more is never better, but it needs variation. And that's the important thing, is once you start, I think the best thing for people that are starting out is to get around that group therapy. I mean, group context with a gym, maybe even a personal trainer, but switch it up every 3 weeks. Okay. Every 3 weeks, like, switch it up to something different. Get yourself, I don't want you to be accustomed to anything. Every 3 weeks, you got to be switching it up. So when I build my workout programs for my next evolution of my Bod Damn channel, these are going to be, a lot of workouts are going to be on 3-week time phases, because I don't want anyone's muscles getting used to anything. I want them to constantly grow and adapt. And so I think it's going to be an important piece that I could share with you guys, is the fact that just because you're fit or you think you're fit, just make sure you could even be more fit if you start switching it up a little bit more.
Awesome, man. That's cool. If you guys aren't already following Chris on his YouTube channel, what is your YouTube channel?
Bod Damn, BODDAMN.
Yeah, he's got a lot of awesome videos over there, workout videos, all different types of things. And man, I just want to thank you for coming on, man, because I've learned so much from you. About 2 years ago, you were the one who was creating the first workout plans for me. And we used to create like this Google Drive, myself and our business partner, Eric, and he would share these workout plans with us, and we would actually go through them. Then every 3 weeks or so, you would switch it up. And really grateful for your friendship, man, because if it wasn't for you, I never would have been introduced to my personal trainer and the group workouts and all the different things that I'm doing now. So what final words of advice would you have for the folks out there who are, again, they want to change, they want to lose weight, they want to get fit, but they just keep giving up. They keep lying to themselves, and over again, they're just like, I just don't know how to change. Final words of wisdom.
You need to take a baby step. You need to take a small step, right? And evaluate your steps every week or something like that, because a baby step now, 6 months down the road, it'll fly by in an instant, right? If you start something new and you're really gung-ho about it, you will fly through the months like you wouldn't believe, but you have to be able to go back and evaluate. So a baby step now might feel like nothing to you later, and you're going to have to, evaluate that and take bigger steps. But most important thing is to act, right? To act. I can remember back 2 years ago when I was building Raiken some workouts and stuff, we would literally talk like almost every single day on video chat about random stuff. And he was that serious about changing his life. And that's good, because you don't really, me being a personal trainer and everything like that behind the scenes, you don't see many people like Raiken all the time. Like, most people won't, and it's not being annoying or anything like that, but most people won't hammer down at you as much as Raiken did to me. And he did that also when he was first becoming a reseller as well. And that's a very interesting trait that I didn't see in many people. And so when I start seeing someone that is that motivated, then the motivated people are attracted to other motivated people. Does that make sense? Even if you're not there yet, it's almost like I envisioned my younger self in your body and go, I know where he's at and I know what he wants. And it's like, I'm willing to give my time for that. Like, I'm willing to give my time to that because no one gave it to me. Like, no one did until I got to about college, right? No one gave it to me like the way I give it to my clients now or whatever, or the people that want to work out with me. Like, no one gives me that. No one gave me that attention. So I'm like, if I could give that attention to some people that are really serious about it, and that's what my channel is going to be basically based upon, then that's where I am passionate about it. I'm like, all right, but I know that 50% or more of the people that will buy maybe my future products or anything like that won't carry it out. They just won't. That's just part of the game.
That's an amazing point you made right there. Like, I kind of want to go on a little rant because it's like so huge that you just mentioned. Like, I think the moral of that story is, like, if you want to lose weight or if you want to build a business, find somebody who already has the results and don't annoy the crap out of them, but like start asking questions, start to try to like mingle with them and get around that energy. You know what's funny? Like, I've built like successful businesses, like a big YouTube channel, like I've lost weight. Guess how many people ever ask me for like advice for how to lose weight or how to build a bigger YouTube channel or like how to grow my business? Like really reach out to me and really try to hammer down. Nobody. Nobody. Like, how many people? I'm sure you get people who ask you now and then, but like out of 100, 500 people that you meet, very few people are actually willing to, kind of like you described it with me, like really start to like poke at you to like get the information. So I would start poking somebody. If you have a really fit and shape friend, start trying to get around them. Nobody does that.
Nobody does it. even when I go to the gym these days, and I'm still, you know, I don't know, I'm approachable. I would like to think I'm an approachable guy, but I don't think that's the case. When I go to the gym, I think people go, shit, you know, crap, like this dude, he's on his game, like he's got his stuff going on, like can't bother him. And I find that the people that I'm best friends with in life are a lot of times the people that have pulled me aside and asked me about things that I'm just really good at or something. Like they've asked me things, and like my friend Homie back in, you know, you've met him, but he was one of those people, like when I was in University of Texas, almost as big as The Rock, working out, like he literally came up to me. He was a skinny, like Indian guy, came up to me and tapped me like, "Hey man, like what kind of protein do you use?" You know, and he was
I can so see him doing that.
I'm telling you, man, but he was doing things like when I was in the locker room changing and stuff like that, and I would be eating my like tuna and rice meal, he would literally be like over my shoulder, like, "What are you eating there?" Right? But that's what it takes. It's kind of funny. It's kind of a little creepy kind of story, but like, but for the most part, he's a very inquisitive guy, and now he's dealing with real estate and kind of stuff like that. But he's under the wing of other big real estate people that are showing him the way because he's so inquisitive, and that's what it takes. Is you're gonna. I'm not saying go out there and you be inquisitive or whatever, but I want you to be there and relentlessly act. Okay, like act, overact, overact. And when you look back at your board with the check marks, I want to see green check marks, right? I want to see hardly any red ones. Because if you ask to see my fitness board, it'd be all green check marks the entire month through. I haven't missed a workout in like, I don't know how many years, right? It's not an obsession, it's just me. This is just what I've wanted so bad. And I've gotten to the pinnacle of it, right? I've gotten to the pinnacle. The funny thing is, 5 years ago or something, I caught myself watching old Baywatch episodes and some old Van Damme videos. And I looked back and I go, wow, I'm actually in better shape. Maybe I'm not a kickboxer or anything, but I'm in better aesthetic physical shape than some Van Damme movies. Like if you take me at some parts of my cutting or whatever, when I get shredded, you could look at two different pictures and you'd be like, dude, that guy's way more lean, way more shredded than that Van Damme guy. You would just look at it and go, okay. And that made me think so weird. I was like, wow, this entire time I was chasing that when I was a kid. And now that I'm an adult and I've learned so much about it, I look back at these pictures and I'm like, whoa, I'm like way more than these people are, you know, on a visual standpoint. And I was like, that's crazy. Like I've surpassed it, but I never even knew I was surpassing it, right? It wasn't my goal anymore. My goal was totally different at a point. But I looked back and I realized, wow, I'd really passed that goal up pretty quickly. But I never knew it, you know? I look back and I'm like, dude, those guys are awesome. Puny. You know, I was like looking at it, I was like, these guys on Baywatch are kind of puny looking now. It's
you trusted weird. In the process. I mean, all those green check marks, all those days that you worked out, all those days that you were eating healthy and made the right decisions. I mean, like you said before, it's all about the routine. It's all about taking action. You could think, you could plan, you could talk to anybody, you know, people who are having success. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to make those good, healthy decisions eating wise. You're going to have to get into the gym, work hard, and most importantly, just be consistent over time. It's not a race. It's not a competition between me and you or Chris and you. It's a competition with yourself. And I think it's a competition to just become the best version of yourself. So with that being said, guys, be sure to follow Chris. Bod Damn is his fitness health YouTube channel, and the Bonafide Hustler is his business channel as well. Chris and I were actually partners in the green room as well. We've been friends for quite a while now, probably, I don't know, 5 years or so. But in any event, Chris, thanks for coming on, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And yeah, thanks, Chris, for coming on, and appreciate everybody watching. We'll see you in the next one.
See you later.